Hello and welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. So I welcome you from wherever you are in the world. So good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are tonight. Um, well, it's nighttime here. I'm in North Carolina. I'm Paula Dennecourt, your host, founder and CEO of EnrichUrHealth. I'm a holistic health coach. I suffered from multiple food allergies myself. And I help people overcome things like food allergies, food sensitivities, autoimmune issues, things like that. I do that with one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and speaking engagements, and now my own TV show, thanks to Elevation TV Network, which I'm so grateful for this platform. I also have some digital ebooks and recipe books for people that suffer from food allergies, food sensitivities, or even weight loss. They're all like anti-inflammatory recipes. They're meant to reduce inflammation in the body and help people that don't know what they can eat, with simple ingredients. I know for myself, I always had to weed through a lot of different things, like go to many different grocery stores, all that. Everything but the kitchen sink was in there. I make my recipes simple. And for people that have to eat things that are dairy-free, gluten-free, sugar-free, nut-free, all those different kinds of things, or low sugar. So feel free to check out the website. And if you need help with recipes, they're there. And I can also customize them, especially for practitioners that are out there. If you've got clients that need help with food allergies, autoimmune issues, things like that, I'm your girl. And tonight I am really excited to have my friend, Pastor Treena Edwards, on tonight. She's going to share her journey in becoming a food truck startup business coach. But not only that, she's also been challenged with some health challenges in her journey before doing that. She's overcome cancer, among some things, and she's going to share that with us. So let me tell you a little bit about Pastor Treena. Pastor Treena Edwards is a food truck startup business coach. She helps female cooks turn their passion into profits with food truck startup strategies while working a 9-to-5. She has an associate's degree in culinary arts. She's had the pleasure of opening her own restaurant. She was a sous chef in a nursing home for 7 years, which God bless you for that. My friend did that, and I used to hear the stories. She's a chef as well. She owns her own catering company. She's been a personal chef for the elderly for 2 years now. She's had the pleasure of creating pre-packaged desserts for restaurants. Currently a co-partner in a food truck business in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She's been cooking the majority of her life. She's learned a few techniques from her grandmother and from watching one of my favorite chefs on TV. Well, her favorite chefs, I'm sorry, Julia Childs. Well, it was my favorite chef too. I still love watching Julia Childs. She cracked me up when she was always drinking the wine. And a little bit more wine.
Right.
Yeah. And she currently teaches female cooks how to start their own food truck business and how to stand out from the crowd, which I give you kudos for starting your own food truck business. I mean, that cannot be easy. And to teach others how to do it is amazing in itself. So tell us a little bit about your background, Treena, where you grew up, how you got into ministry, when you got sick, what you had to deal with in your illness, and then we'll talk a little bit about the business aspect of you and your business.
Okay. Well, I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I've been here all of my life, pretty much. And as I grew up, I began to start having children. All right, I had started having children at a young age. And at that time, I was a nurse aide at a nursing home. I did that back and forth for about 10 years. That was not enough. There was not enough income there. So I decided to go into cooking on the side at first, trying to supplement my income and just try to, enhance my life and my children's life. So that's how I got started with the cooking. then I got sick. I got sick. I had the cancer episode, and one day I had just finished taking a shower. I decided to go in my room, and I was lotioning up, and I was being a little goofy actually. I was lotioning up, and so I just popped on the bed, and I started putting lotion on my legs, and I noticed that one leg was a little bigger than the other.
Oh,
So
wow.
um, I kept messing with both of the legs, trying to see why they weren't the same. And so I got a little nervous. I had a lump in my left thigh. Okay.
Mm,
So the left thigh was kind of protruding on the inner side, should I say. And so I watched it. I was so nervous that I didn't do anything actually for a minute there. I watched it for 3 months. 3 months.
mm,
I watched it off and on, and it did not grow. It did not get smaller. So during that time, I knew that I was gonna have to go get it checked out. So
yeah.
in the meantime, I was making sure that I had my health insurance together and all the other stuff with my job, just in case it was a little more than I could handle. So
Right.
once I had that in position, I went to the doctor. The doctor did the X-rays, and then within 3 days, they had said I need to be, it was a tumor, a sarcoma they call it, and that I needed operation within 3 days. Now, I thought that was very urgent.
Right. Yeah.
Keep in mind, I had already waited 3 months. Okay. So I was like, wow, is that serious?
Mm,
And so I told my job that, I brought in the paperwork, of course, and let them know that I needed to, I was not going to be able to, work for a while because I had to go into the hospital and have emergency surgery, so to speak. And so that's what I did. I went there. I believe I stayed in the hospital maybe a couple of days. They removed it. Um, and then I went home. But of course, after removing it, I had to go to step two, and that was radiation. And yes, radiation was okay at first. But
mm,
towards the end, it was a whopper. I'm telling you, it was something. That's all I can say. I don't even know how to describe it. Oftentimes, by the time I was in the last week of my radiation, I was telling the nurses that this should be against the law for them to do this to people.
yeah. Yeah.
my my thigh, I told them they were cooking my thigh. That's what I said. I said,
Right. That's what it is.
and
Yeah.
yes, and so we had to take a week off because I couldn't bear it for a while. So that extended the radiation for a while, and I was in bed. I was on bed rest because I couldn't move. I was in so much pain, and you know, I don't know if you know anybody that's been through radiation. My
Yeah.
skin was just messed up severely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to take the week off, and then I had to go back and finish. But thankfully to God, I never had to go to chemo. So I went through that process, and go through recovery and all that, and the mental things that happen as you're going through that.
Yeah.
I had to tell my children. I remember my youngest son, telling me, "What? My mom don't get cancer. What are you talking about?"
Aw.
And I laughed at him, but he kind of helped me laugh about it. But I was like, "That's what the doctor said." So I just kept persevering. I didn't. Well, I had a choice. I did have a choice, but
Mm,
I chose to keep going.
yeah.
And I didn't know what was going to happen. Okay, this was my first time. uh,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand, and
Yeah.
we go through that, why me, how could this happen, all
Yeah.
that. I don't recall anyone in my family having cancer. And so I just with the help of the Lord. That's all I can say. He helped me make
Yeah.
it through it. I have family support as always, because we have women in our family that is very strong-willed and strong-minded. So,
Yeah.
they quick to step in and take over,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for them as well. But it was a journey. It was a journey. And but like I said, he took me through it. There was days I didn't understand, and days I didn't know how I was gonna make it. Days that I was trying to keep the real pain away from my children, so it was very challenging. But somehow God helped me to keep pressing through. I believe
Mm-hmm.
they were my motivation, they were my inspiration. And so God even I view it, God even sent me a helper. He sent me a helper as
Oh,
I was recovering. I was looking to, do something. I was tired of sitting on the couch and in a recliner, recovering. I said, I got to do something. I wanted to do something. So I was out at a restaurant once, and I met a minister, and he asked me could he needed some help doing some the pantry work at the church. And I
mm-hmm.
was like, sure, that'll give me a reason to get out the house. Okay. And as I was there helping the church and doing just the little odds and ends at the church, that gentleman, he had made sure that my bills was paid and all different things. And I was not expecting that. And I was like, wow, you know, just at the right time. I had got behind on my rent like 3 months, and
Wow.
yes, and that minister, he had gave me a credit card, and he was just like, just take care of what you need to take care.
Oh
And
my God. Wow.
I was like, wow, that doesn't just happen to you.
No, usually the church is asking you for money.
Right. Right. And it was
Yeah.
so amazing because, it's like you never had somebody just give you a credit card or their credit card and not worry or fret or where's it at or anything like that. I mean, I had it for like 3 or 4 months, and apparently, he must have had a second one, but I believe that he was God sent. Okay.
But
And the things, as I was waiting for a short-term disability or whatever that was, we didn't lack for anything. So God, he made a way. He sustained
mm,
us. He provided for us. He did
wow.
just what he said in his word.
Wow, that's amazing.
I am
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. But
Mm-hmm.
even with that story, 2 years later, two to
Mm-hmm.
3 years later, I had another illness that came upon me. I went into what is it? The fourth stage of kidney failure. My kidneys started acting up. Okay, they told me years ago that they were functioning at 30%, and I kept on living. Basically, I had got tired of going to doctors about that, and maybe that must have been 10 years later that I find out that they had went down to 7% or 10%.
Oh my
That's
Lord.
yes,
Wow.
10%. And I was like, okay. And so I'm going to these specialists and trying to figure out what's going on. I had something called glomerulonephritis.
Oof.
Okay. And they said one out of every 10,000 women get it. And I was angry that I had to be that one. I said, well,
I can understand that.
11,000. Yes, it was like one out of every 10,000 get it. I said, that does not make me feel better.
Mm,
So even in that journey, if my kidneys kept going down, so I had to they placed me on dialysis. And even when the doctor told me, pretty soon you're gonna have to go on dialysis, I started crying in the office. I started crying, and God was there as well. God was there as well. The doctor that I had, he was he was of another nationality. I don't know which one particularly, but I just copy him. I echo him and hear him saying, "Don't you cry, Treena. Don't you cry. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right."
Oh,
He was like, "You're too young for this. You're too young for this. I'm gonna find you a kidney." You know, he said, "I'm gonna find you one." You know, and
wow.
I was just like, wow. You know, even though I felt like that was kind of like the worst thing I could be going through, God
Mm,
was placing people in my path to make sure that I was okay. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So I was grateful for that. That even when you in the valley, when you feel like you're in the valley, that God
right.
is still there with you. He will come and reach down and lift your head, even help put a
Praise
smile
God.
on your
Yeah.
face. I was so grateful. I was so grateful, even though I didn't want to hear that either. I was like, I want my own. I want my own to function properly and all that.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
yes, so I end up going to dialysis. I think I cried about the first 3 days there. You know, you go
Mm,
every other day. My aunt was there with me. She would take me. She she came with me about a couple weeks, you know, till I got familiar with it and things like that. And by the time I got finished from dialysis, they was calling me Sunshine. Hey, Sunshine! I was like, oh God.
aw, I can see that.
God sent me there. I was like, Lord,
Yeah.
Lord. I said, He was just using me in the strangest places that I really was not trying to be used at, to be
Well, we
honest.
can choose or we get used, right?
Yes, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So I was honored about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, you know, doing what they were asking me to do. I had changed my diet, like you said, and you know, stop eating this. You got to come back off the proteins, you know, and all this other stuff. But apparently, a lot of the other people that was on the machines, they weren't following the rules. So
Yeah.
you know, they were doing everything under the sun. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's why they were encouraged, and that was one of my journeys. I end up having
Wow.
to get hospitalized for that, and that was like went through surgery for my kidneys, and then when I came out, they had me. I guess my temperature must have went up too high because when I
Mm,
came
that can
out of
happen.
surgery, I was freezing. All I know is they said I was on ice or something. Everybody just talking around me, you know, waiting on me to come to. And I'm yelling and talking about I'm cold, I'm freezing, you know, and I'm like, ain't nobody freezing but me. They said
So
I
back
was,
a minute. So you did get a new kidney.
yes, they said I was on ice. So
Wow.
I was like, okay. So I went through that. And I remember, I remember when I came to, my family was all around me, and I told them, I said, y'all need to get y'all life right because I'm tired of being the example here in this family. I blamed it on them. I'm
Oh,
tired of,
jeez.
I said, I'm tired of being an example for you guys to get y'all life right and all this other stuff. I said, God
Mm,
trying to talk to y'all. And I said, they ain't using me. I said, so I was encouraging them in my own way.
mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like after after those illness, I still had to fight mentally. You know what I'm saying? Fight mentally because there was a journey through those process that you often don't share with people. People don't understand the mental aspect, and then those who are very critical are the words that you hear. You know, before I went to the hospital the second time, I had a lot of water weight on me. So I gained a lot of weight. I went up to like 240 pounds. But even in the midst of all that, I still I still decided that the place I needed to be was in church.
Mm-hmm.
So, I continued to go to church. I prayed. I talked to myself. I told myself, and I talked to my illness as well. I would speak to my illness and I would say, if you feel like you're going to stay here in this body, we're going to praise the Lord. So that's how I encourage
Say that a little louder. Say that again. The people in the back.
Well, the people in the back, you have to speak to that illness, to that illness and tell them, I understand, I understand the facts, doctor. I understand the facts. But if, because in the Bible, it talks about that, I forgot his name. I think it was Paul who asked, no, that was when he was talking about his grace is sufficient for thee, that, it's like, okay, if you choose to stay in this body, we will praise the Lord. And yes, I talked to that water weight. I talked to, those, the feeling that you have, the heaviness, the headaches, the depression, all that, I can only wear certain shoes. It's just a lot that you go through mentally about what people say, what they don't say, what they think about. There even was someone out there, they said, oh man, she looks like death. And the Lord told me not to respond to that person. Yes, I wanted to. Oh, I wanted to. I wanted to. But I tell people, I'm glad I didn't respond because look at me now.
Right.
God got the glory out of that. God showed that person that how he could take somebody from this and bring them all the way up to that. And if I would have said something that could have messed up my witness, my witnessing to that person, he may not have been more receptive to what the Lord can do. In your lowest and deepest, what they perceive to be my lowest, they don't really know if that was my lowest point in life, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. God will bring you from the most horrible place you feel like you're in and bring you on up higher. We just have to continue to trust him and believe in him. And oftentimes we have to fight against our own self to keep persevering and keep going on. And that's what I did. That's what I did when people weren't there to help me, when they were wondering if I was going to live, if they was too scared to help me because they didn't know if I was going to live. I had to fight for me. Yeah. I had to fight for me and not allow what I was going through to discourage me. I often said I was fighting and I was saying, I can't look like what I've been through. That is what kept me moving because people expect you to come look in a certain way, even after you've been through all that horrible stuff. And I had to literally fight my way back through depression, through sadness, through losing my house. I lost a house. Through I had living with multiple people. Okay, I had to fight my way back. Nobody really understood, but there was, like I said, there was a fighter in me. Okay, I believe now more than ever that I am more than a conqueror. That was manifesting itself in me. I might not have knew it then, but I know it now. And what I always try to tell people is that you have to show up even in your horrible times. I remember when I came on live, I was depressed. I was trying to encourage somebody else from being depressed. And I looked like I was depressed. But as I kept showing up, little did I know God was healing me. He was restoring me. He was delivering me. He was cleaning me up on the inside. And then it began to start showing on the outside. I'm grateful for that. All right. All the things that I learned, how I can now help others and let them know how they too can overcome if they only just continue to show up and believe God. And our biggest enemy is ourselves. We can get in our own way. We will sabotage our own growth and don't even understand why.
So that's like a whole nother show.
Right. Why do you keep doing this?
Yep. Why we
You-
sabotage ourselves. I mean, I've
yeah.
talked about it in other shows, so how.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, we have, just to kind of touch on it a little bit. Sometimes growing up, people say certain things to you, whether it's your peers, your friends, whatever. That stuff sticks with you. Sometimes your parents will say you're never going to amount to anything, or that stuff sticks with you. But we persevere. So you
correct.
persevered over your sickness. And one thing that reminds me of is full disclosure here. This is not medical advice.
Right.
Not meant to treat, cure, or heal any illnesses. This is
Right.
just educational purposes here. We're just here to help you. You make your own decisions and do your own research. So I just wanted to put that out there. I almost forgot.
That's
But
right.
that's such an
That's
amazing,
okay.
amazing journey that you've had, Treena.
Uh-huh.
Tell us a little bit about the church, and then I want to talk, I want to have enough time to talk about your business and how you got into the trucking business. Tell us a little bit about the church and what that was like for you to become a pastor and just start. I mean, he's been sending you. What I do want to add, when you said God sending you people to help you, I call those destiny helpers. They're
All right.
destiny. So ask God, if you feel like you're alone, and you're never alone, God's there for you. But if you feel like you need more help than just God, ask him, God, where are my destiny helpers? I've talked about this on another show with someone. She prayed about her illness, and lo and behold, she found a nurse that actually dealt with what she was dealing with, which is mold toxicity. What are the chances of that? There are not many people that specialize in that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
ask God, where are my destiny helpers to help me with whatever situations that you're dealing with, especially illness, and they'll start to show up. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about working in the church. Now you start to overcome your illnesses, and tell us a little bit about that, about becoming a pastor.
Well, like I said, what happened as I was literally fighting mentally
Mm-hmm.
depression, and I noticed that one of my coaches told me that was my calling, and so to speak. She
Yeah.
said, "It's funny how you keep attracting depressed people." I said, "That's nice."
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that. But anyway, so I said, okay, well, what I'm gonna do is I started going live on Facebook and Periscope, talking to depressed single women,
Oh,
just
wow.
talking to them about just being a single mom and the issues that happens. Most of the time, a lot of the women I was talking to, their children are grown, but their children are draining grown children.
Mm.
That think they're grown, but they haven't quite gotten over that hump. So I started out talking to depressed single women, and I just was talking to them about, keep coming, keep persevering. God is with you. I just talking to them about the Lord, that they can overcome anything, they can do anything they set their mind to, and before I know it, there was a minister, well, an apostle, who started talking to me and mentoring to me, because I was seeking wisdom from him as far as how to get this kind of organized, a little better organized, and things like that. And I always try to sit up under someone who's already doing that. And so as I was constantly talking to him about my journey, my church journey, my goals, what I wanted to do with the community, what I was striving to do, I was trying to get them to get out of their own heads and to continue to persevere and to stand on the word that they claim that they have so deeply inside of their heart. So
Mm-hmm.
part of that, I was kind of like the poster child, I guess, the example
Yeah.
of what it takes to do that. Basically, that's what I started to notice, is that you may not have that 3-piece suit, or you may not have that sexy dress that the church expect for you to have the church and the cliques that come with it.
Mm,
I was called to those who the church was not so comfortable with accepting. Now that
mm,
I think about it, those who the church looked over and thought was nothing. You know what I'm saying? And letting them know that you are something,
yeah.
right? And you can use what you've been through to help someone else.
Yes.
What if you told your story before the enemy told it?